That's the piano.
Just a second here. Okay. Good morning, Poppy.
Good morning. Good morning to you and
And
all listeners.
good morning to our community members. Welcome to Shamanic Sundays. Good to be back here with you this week. It was fun having my sister Nicole host the last couple weeks, and I'm very happy to be here with you today. So good to see you. Um, Lots of gratitude in my heart for you, Dad, and for all of our friends out there, and everyone who's trying to, walk a good heart path, to listen to their heart, remember our inner connection, and work together here in this planet we all share. So, would you like to start us off with a blessing, as we always do?
Yeah, my pleasure. Yeah. Thank you for the blessing of right now and this gift of life and the gifts of creation, the opportunity to be in a human body with all our sensitivity and awareness to the wonder of the world with all the problems and difficulties and challenges. There's great wonder and amazement and beauty in the world. And thank you for Great Spirit for this breath of life and the wonderful gifts of creation and our ancestor spirits of the land we live on here in Santa Barbara, the Chumash. Remember you here. Good medicine to you. And thank you for our families and our communities and the opportunity to join today and open ourselves to what Spirit would bring through that has the potential to help us polish up our stardust and shine brighter on the truth of who we are, sacred, worthy, luminous beings that are loved, which is forgiving and receiving, and for healing of the sacred hoop. Wake up, wise up, and live love now. Oh.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And maybe so. You said you had something you wanted to share before we got into questions today.
Yeah, actually, two things. When people see me do this,
Mm.
I wanted to let people know what these different sticks with feathers and yarn are are um, are called muvieres in Huichol language, and they're all connected with a place of power of pilgrimage that I've been to. Helps me connect with the spirit there, having traveled to a place of power, spiritual power, and made offerings of gratitude. And so creating a connection through time and space that exists when like picking up these antennae to vibrate the web to connect with those shamanic places of power to be able to just affirm, strengthen the work that we're doing here today. So that's one thing. And the other was I wanted to give you some feedback. So you ready for some feedback?
I reckon, hoping you don't embarrass me here, but that's part of our dynamic. So I guess go for it.
Well, I wanted to thank you for the medicine you shared with me yesterday. For background for this is the listeners that my ego can get easily triggered when I have techno problems, frustrations. I get easily frustrated and irritated when things don't work, and then I call my daughter here, and usually I'm calling
Let's
her.
be clear. You call one of the daughters. If the other one doesn't answer, then you try the other. So we both are your IT department, and some dear friends out in the community like Roger.
Yeah. Yesterday I called you and you reminded me of the impact of when I'm calling you with toxic, frustrated energy, the impact it has on you. And so you were telling me about that, but I wanted to give you some support, feedback of how skillfully you gave me that feedback, how kindly and how gently, but yet powerfully you gave me that feedback. And so I took it in um, and felt like it dropped into a deeper place, recognizing the impact, and said, "Oh, why create pain and suffering for your daughter that way? Because your ego had reactivity." So I just wanted to give you some juice for how skillfully you gave me that feedback with kindness
Thank you.
and with clarity and with strength.
Thank
Oh,
you.
thank you.
Appreciate that. Well,
Yeah.
since you brought that up, I feel like we should share a little bit more, because one of the one of the areas of work that I do in bringing the teachings of your work and the different indigenous elders that have shared their teachings with me. And so I strive to, in my own way, carry forward the medicine teachings you've given me and that they have given me. So one of the like primary things is just this sense of knowing our interconnection and our sense of global interconnection, our sense of me just one little part in this incredible sacred web of life, that we're all so lucky to be here. And I feel like that has been such a key part of my life. And I'm so grateful for being raised with that knowledge and tradition that I don't remember ever not knowing that. And I do a lot of work in regenerative leadership and regenerative organizations and helping businesses and business leaders to be structured more regeneratively. And to me, that's intrinsically tied in with our that sense of being part of the web of life. And it's this awareness of like living systems, right? So when we have moments where we feel the need, as I did yesterday, to tell you that how your IT call impacted me, um, uh, like I immediately think, okay, it's a system, right? We're all part of a living system. So when we do have to step into challenging situations or things, as you put, like when things, what's the word? Uh, what's the word you often use? Like trigger you, or that's not the word you use most often. But
Triggered
anyways,
by reactivity.
reactivity, yes. That like, how can we go into the situation recognizing that we're part of a system? So if we're going to give someone feedback, or in my case yesterday, I was asking with a request and sharing how, your tone can impact my experience of a situation. So before I went in, I was like, okay, how can I phrase my request so I convey how the energy impacts me and optimize for our greatest results? So I appreciate you saying that, and hope that next time we have an IT problem, it'll go smoother.
Okay. I'm
So,
working on, yeah.
yep,
I
yep.
think you planted a seed that maybe for the first time there was fertile ground to receive it. So it's starting to sink roots. And of course the test will be the next time my ego gets triggered. But I'm hopeful.
Yep. Well, we're all only human, and we're all. I would say that whenever I've worked for a company that has an actual IT department, I've been so incredibly grateful for them because I do my best, but I'm certainly not that. So, and again, shout out to folks like Roger who so support you in technology too. So, um, anyways, let's see, on to the question of the day. And I see some comments about our loving IT department and appreciating us sharing our father-daughter relationship. And yeah, we have a good one, and we have our moments, just as we all do. So
Oh,
we appreciate, I think, showing up in your openness and vulnerability is one of the things both you and mom modeled to Nicole and I. So we both strive to do that. So thank you.
oh,
Um, Okay, I got to pull up my question, or the question that came to us. And actually, it really resonated with me because I was going through some physical health stuff and I'm getting stronger, but that was part of why I couldn't be here the last few weeks. But it was great because Nicole was able to, so we loved that. But the question that came in was about applying shamanic principles to trauma, physical and or emotional trauma. And of course, there's some philosophies out there that say our first moment of trauma is birth, coming out from this beautiful womb of protection and sweetness, where you're connected to your mom. Um, and of course, I want to acknowledge, for some people, when the mom is going through a hard time, maybe the womb doesn't even feel like such a safe place. So it could start even before birth. Um, but nonetheless, the question remains about applying shamanic principles to trauma. And as human beings, we're just never gonna. There's always going to be trauma, whether it's a um, bad interaction with someone at the gas station, or your intimate partners, or your dad and daughter thing. So So yeah, I would love to allow you to respond to the question about dealing with trauma, physical and or emotional. Some tips on that from a shamanic perspective.
Yeah. Well, what comes to me immediately is trauma is like an image of being walking innocently down the street. Like I remember as a little boy walking down the streets of New York City, and they're just mobs, like rivers of people walking in both directions. And as if you're walking down the street, innocent and just enjoying yourself walking and experiencing whatever experiencing as you're walking, and somebody walks by and with all their might, it just punches you right in the stomach as hard as they can. And so what's going to be the response on a physical level? Well, it's going to like cave you in. It's like a collapse with the jolt of that punch. And so trauma by whatever the stimulus, whatever the cause of it is like that, which just constricts and shuts down, and it's been hurt, and so we need to protect, mm, and feelings and energy triggered by that punch can get frozen in there energetically and impact us emotionally and mentally and spiritually from that wound, from that punch. And so what might be helpful from shamanic methodology and understanding to respond to that situation? Well, one is the first thing is just to see it, see the impact. Just like you were giving me feedback about the impact of my reactive energy with a phone call yesterday when I was upset calling you with the techno stuff. So in the impact of what happened energetically in my body and my mind and my spirit when that wound, that trauma wound, punched me, however it punched me. And we don't have power to heal or transform something until we see what it is, see the truth of what it is, and the consequences of the impact, whatever they might be. So the first step is seeing, opening our deeper vision to be able to see. And depending upon the age of when that trauma incident happened, then to go inside and see us at that time when it was taking place and the impact of it, and given that impact of hurt, fear, constriction, inflammation, what's needed for healing? What is needed for healing? And just opening up to see what comes back in response to visualizing the trauma and its impact, and listening to, watching what comes back to that question, what's needed for healing? And then when you get that information, it will come if you're paying attention and you're open, receptive, and humble with sincerity to receive. That information will come to you, and then you start to act on it. And so it might be to that wounded little girl or that wounded little boy, traumatized by what happened, is sending them love, sending them healing, light, and love, and tenderness, and compassion, and support, and validation of their beautiful being, the sacredness of their being, and just filling them up with that kind of energy, and helping them let go of find the places where that constriction is from the wound, and just helping gently open and release, using the power of imagination, visualization to see healing light and love coming in with a breath and sending it to that little wounded one, and helping them to know they're going to make it through whatever they're traumatized by. They're going to survive. They're going to get through it. And eventually they're going to be able to grow to see the medicine teachings of the experience and how it can help empower their understanding of life purpose, and the medicine they carry, the teachings they carry from that experience, like the trauma of my dad dying when I was 3.5, and how it took a huge punch that constricted me and shut me down and impacted me in so many ways that were hurtful both to me and because of my hurt and not knowing how to deal with it, taking out in the world and being hurtful to others until 20 years old, and medicine uh, opened me up to seeing all of this, and that there were alternatives. I could live in a different way. I could create a different story, a different response, a different relationship to the wound instead of being in victimhood to it, but to realize how can that there's a potential here. This is a test of what one tradition calls a spiritual curriculum, what I call a vehicle of opportunity to wake up, to wise up. And so the death of my father was teaching me about the medicine of impermanence. It took me 20 years in medicine to begin to understand what that was about, and been working with it ever since. But the teaching the medicine of impermanence is so powerful in life, because facing the truth of impermanence, of everything on the physical plane is only here for a relatively short period of time. So be present for it. Be present for the people, the opportunities of being alive in the moment, wherever you are, whatever's happening, to be able to open awareness to Spirit's presence, to love's presence, and be a channel for it, to wake up, wise up, and live love now. And I think that's the traumas, wounds, and their impacts in our lives are you might say, a spirit knocking on the membrane that separates ordinary consciousness from cosmic consciousness, and saying, "Hey, the way you're responding to this, it's you're dreaming too small. You're more
Wait,
than
can
this."
you, Dad, can you say that again? I'm sorry. That it was consciousness and you're bringing to your consciousness from the cosmic consciousness, or what was that you said?
Yeah. Opening opening awareness to a broader bandwidth of
Mhm.
consciousness, cosmic consciousness,
Yep.
from the constricted state of ego identity, which is based on the illusionary perceptions of separation.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So it's like befriending our wounds, as difficult it is, and giving ourselves permission to have whatever feelings and sensations and thoughts we have about it, without any judgment, and creating a safe container for that, all of that to be expressed, so none of it is repressed or denied or projected, and that helps open up the pipes. That's polishing up the pipes, so the stardust can shine through, and getting the medicine. What's the teaching that has the potential to empower and improve and enrich my life through this trauma? What is it trying to help me see, bring into my awareness? Right.
I love that. That being able to, like, literally, as you were just talking, recovering from surgery. Um, right now, I'm like putting my hand on the place where there's still some pain on my belly,
Oh,
and literally seeing it like a little baby. Like when I would hold Corbin, Luke, tear up, but when I would be holding Corbin, Luke, or Sebastian, or really any baby I've held, but of course those three especially, and just that sense of like you just love them and forgive them, and whatever they need you will do for them. So being able to like apply that to myself, I really appreciate that. Thank you. um,
yeah.
yeah.
It's opening ourselves up as a channel to
Mhm.
what's always being given to us with the breath, the holy breath, that healing light and love.
Yeah. And Susan, who sent in that question to us, thank you for me, because it's such a perfect question for me today too. So we always love getting questions from people in our community, and then it's always a beautiful thing of how they resonate for so many of us, because we're all just figuring things out together here. So Dad, maybe you could lead us through a visualization, as you do on these Shamanic Sundays, about healing trauma, physical or emotional, and meeting that little baby, that wounded, whatever the source of that suffering and wound is, meeting that little innocent one, and how we can do more healing of that trauma.
Well, I think you just gave us a great start with that, when you spoke about putting your hand over your belly, where you're still feeling comfort from your recovery from the surgery. So, with the gift of our awareness, let's drop inside to our looks within place, and take a moment just to be thankful for the gift of awareness, just to be thankful for the gift of awareness. Because everything starts with our awareness. And when we bring our awareness to being breathed by the great mystery of the universe that creates the breath, that creates the energy field, that creates Mother Earth, creates the energy field around Mother Earth, that produces oxygen, this energy that our bodies physically need, nurtured by the light from Father Sun, the stardust coming to Mother Earth, and the plants and the trees working to produce that oxygen, this energy that flows into us, that gives us life, opening to receive it. Awareness of the impact, noticing what it's like to be present, consciously aware, mindful of being breathed in and being breathed out, letting go, long letting go breath, cleansing, releasing, it's no longer needed, and bringing awareness. Everything starts with intention, and bringing awareness to whatever trauma or wounds have happened in our lives, whatever might surface into our awareness right now. Maybe one major wound, traumatic wound, or maybe a number of them. But just notice what comes into your awareness when you open to what wound of my life might be a opportunity for me to do some healing work with right now of being alive. The only time I can experience healing, right? Sacred now. Just take a moment to see what comes up in your awareness of what that wound trauma might be. And seeing yourself, whatever age that took place. It might have been in the womb, it might have been in your birth experience, it might have been in your infancy, childhood, your adolescence, as a young adult, as a middle-aged person, as an older person, get an older person like yours truly, whatever it is, and just seeing the impact of yourself at that age when that punch to your gut metaphorically came in and hurt you and wounded you. And seeing what's needed, seeing what that one most needs in that wounded state. Are they feeling alone and separate and frightened and fearful? And so what do they need? They need to feel the flowing power of peace flowing into them, letting them know, I see you. You're not alone. I love you. You're lovable. You're important. You have meaning and purpose and beauty and creativity and the unique essence of who you are. And you will make it through this difficult time. And you will grow from it in ways that help you find your heart path, what's most meaningful to you in this life, what has most value for you in this life. You'll be able to find, connect, attune, and commune with that wisdom guidance and grow. Grow on the heart path, walking your heart path to fullest blossoming, greatest good for what you have to contribute to the healing of the sacred who. And gratitude for this gift that we started with of awareness of the breath and changing the relationship to our wounds from that of victimhood to I'm going to use what happened, what was triggered inside of me to help me wake up to the truth of who I am. I'm more than the body, the feelings, the sensations, the story, more than that. Opening the doorway of consciousness to attunement and a communion with the cosmic consciousness, the sacred unity that we're a part of, that lives in us, that we live in, polishing up our stardust to show up as best we can in this life and do our part to bring through that healing of the sacred who. May it be so for all who are listening, will be listening, all who we touch as we're channels for healing, light and love and peace and creativity and wonder and gratitude for the amazing opportunity to be alive in this challenging time and show up to meet those challenges in a wachan way, a sacred way. May it be so. Ho, Pumprios, opening our eyes, coming back into being here. Right.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That was wonderful as always.
Right.
Do you remember the first time when you were working, with one of your indigenous elder mentors in a shamanic ceremony? The first time that they talked about wounds and healing wounds at all?
Hmm. I'm activating my memory banks here to see what
Yeah.
comes through. So I have to practice patience,
Yep.
receptivity, and
Hmm.
humility. Oh,
Hmm.
just watch, like sitting on the banks of the river and
Hmm.
watching, leaning up against a tree, the
Yep.
flow of the river to see what comes through. Yeah, I suddenly see Oceana, who
Hmm.
could be very dramatic, very, very intense, and with her high raised voice in a ceremony, um, saying to me, you have to see the truth of what is. You have to see the truth of what is without any defenses or protections or embellishment. You have to see the truth of what is if you want healing, because within the truth of what is the information of what's needed. And if you're sincere about wanting healing, what your part is in that, what your role is in that, you have to see the truth of what is. And then
Yeah.
years later, with working with Jerry Jampolsky and children with life-threatening illness, coming to a deeper understanding that healing comes from joining our awareness with the truth of what is.
Mm-hmm.
It comes from joining with the truth of what is. Oh,
Mm-hmm. I love that because it gets you out, like you talked about, it gets you out of victimhood and brings you into that, what I started the conversation with about the being, each of us being part of the sacred web of life. And so with that, we're literally co-creating things together, our realities, our existence, our beingness in every moment. So thank you.
yeah, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Good to have you back.
Thank you. Good to be here. Good to see all you out there in our community. Thank you for sharing this time with us. Thank you for sharing Shamanic Sundays with your friends or family who may also enjoy being a part of it. And um, may we all do good breathing into whatever healing of our wounds and trauma needs to happen this week, so that we can continue to shine and show up best for each other in this world. Thank you.
Oh,
All right. Anything else you want to say, Pops?
vaya con Dios. Go with God, Goddess, the Great Spirit, and you can't go wrong. Walk with light, walk with love. You will be all right.
Amen. I love that. Walk with light and walk with love. Let's all do that this week. Try our best. Thank you. Mwah. Take care, everybody.
Oh.
Bye. See you next week.